Today I want to talk a little about variables, and specifically I want to show you game variables. So in the past, these would have been called project variables. I've decided to rename the project to a game because, let's face it, that's what it is. And I wanted to see what your thoughts are. Give me your feedback on this. So this is basically you'll edit the project variables or game variables in this case directly through the editor, through the game designer is my thought, because a lot of times you want to make updates to things and you don't want to have to refresh pages and all that kind of stuff. So you can do it live right in here. You can add a new variable just like you could before, and now this is one of the new things. I'm going to enforce types on these, and this is primarily for safety purposes. I want to be able to give you better validation, basically. How do you feel about the number or the names of these things? Do they all make sense to you? Traditionally, programmer terms, like I would call this a hex, not a color, but color I think makes more sense to the user. This is an integer, but I'm calling it number because I think it's a more common name. I couldn't come up with a good name here. I thought maybe text, but I'm going with string. That's the programmer term for it. But because text makes me think like, you're typing out text. But this could be a URL, for example. So I don't know. I need some thought there. This would be Boolean in programmer speak, but I thought true false was good here. I could also maybe go conditional. What are your thoughts on that? Anyway, when you select one of these, you are saying that this field represents a certain thing, and that's going to help with validation. So if I go in here and say I'm going to put in a number, and then I tried to put in, that. That one, it should have thrown an error there, but it's not for some reason. I'm not sure why. Now it's throwing an error. Okay. Oh, I'm probably not calculating it upon add. That's probably a bug that I need to do. So anyway, you can see where I'm giving good feedback here. Because if you were to type this in and it just let you type that in, the problem is that then later when you go to use this variable, it's got bad data, which is going to screw up something down the line, but it's not going to be easy to detect what's screwing it up because, bad data in, bad data out, that sort of thing. So I know this is a little bit extra work when you're creating your variables to have to set a type on them, but I think it's going to result in less frustrating experience when something goes wrong. So overall, what do you think of that sort of thing? And just to show you some of the other things that can happen, like if you were to use a template variable in here but didn't actually complete it. So I just started a template variable there, but I didn't put anything in and I didn't put any end brackets. So now it says template render error. This is the rendering system giving this back. It's not great, but at least I know when I see unknown path, I can go, oh, it doesn't know how to read that variable. So then if we change it to close it, but put nothing inside of it, now it's saying, oh, line 1, column 1, unexpected token, this. Again, these aren't the best error messages. I'm going to have to figure out if I can parse these in some way to make them more human friendly. But at the very least, it is telling you what's wrong. It's expecting that there be something before this. So if I put in a 0 there, now the error goes away, and 0 is technically a color. It's black. So if I were to put in FF as a thing here, now that's technically a color. It's not a good color, but it can convert that into a color. If I were to put in 1, 2, 3, you see what's going on. So these are the kinds of validation that you can get. Now, if you were to type in something like, that's not a valid color, so why did it do that? Oh, because of the first letter. I'm going to have to check on that too. So it should be doing something more like this. So I'll have to check on, if it's a really long, ugly string that's not actually a color, it shouldn't convert that. But anyway, those are the kinds of validation that I'm thinking about. So give me your feedback. What are your thoughts on validation and these kind of types going with variables? A couple other things that I've got working at this point. You can move through data sets. So a data set is your spreadsheet. Each row in the spreadsheet would be a row in the data set. And so I can flip back and forth between, I only have 2 in this particular case, but you can see different things are going on here. And right here you can see that I'm using, there's a variable called X modifier in each row. And so for the purple, it's moving it 70 pixels to the left, and for gold, it's moving it 30 pixels to the right. So that's what's going on there. What else was I going to say? Oh, right. You can go in and get your variables too. So, for example, we have these variables in here. So we have danger. I can paste that into here, and now it's turning it red because I had red as the color that's coming out of danger. Now, a question for you here is on these. I'm calling these shortcuts. These are basically helpers that'll get you a variable quickly. Should these be right now, when you click on one, it copies it to your clipboard, and then you can paste it into this field. What I'm wondering is, if you click on this, should it automatically just paste itself directly into this field? I don't think it should overwrite the field, but perhaps it should just append itself to the field. So what do you think? Or is it better that it just goes straight into the clipboard and then you can kind of do with it what you want? Sorry for the train in the background, if you can hear that. I've also started working on, or I've implemented a whole bunch of functions. And so you've got all of these functions here. And with some feedback from the community, we have renamed all of these to not be short names, but actual descriptive names. So instead of SQRT for square root, it actually says square root. And then it shows in blue a required field and a red are optional fields for these kinds of things. So it gives you a little bit of a hint about how to use a function. So that's all I have for today. Let me know what your thoughts are on the things that I've shown you. So I'm looking for feedback on setting types and variables and what the feedback should be from errors that you make. I'm looking for whether or not these things should get pasted directly into the field here, or if going directly into your clipboard is a good idea. And then I guess if you have other functions that you'd like to see, or something along those lines, give me some feedback. Leave some in the comments. Appreciate it. Thanks.